In this video, I'm going to show you some practical tips to help you improve your ghosting sessions, which will then translate into better real-world match movement. Now, you don't have to use all of the tips all of the time when you do your ghosting sessions, but try them all, see which ones you like, see which ones you feel are the most effective, and use those. So, let's start at the beginning. So, what is ghosting? Well, ghosting is moving around the squash court without a ball and without an opponent. Or you can do that, but that's for another video. It allows you to work on your fitness and it allows you to work on your footwork technique. And just like shadow swinging, because you don't have to worry about the ball, you can focus purely on technique. Now, ideally, it would be done on a squash court, but you could do it in a car park, in a sports hall, on your patio, even at the beach. What's important, though, is that you do it somewhere where it's not slippery. Pre-tip number one, make sure that you do a proper heat up. Now, I do 120 of these, then I do 120 of these, then I do a little bit of running, touching the floor, up and down the court. Basically, anything that you get your body temperature, doesn't really matter what you do, get your body temperature higher. Then you can start to move into some specific movements. That's fine. You wouldn't start a match without heating up properly, so you shouldn't start a ghosting session without heating up properly. Pre-tip number two, if this is your first time ghosting or you're coming back after an extended break, take it easy. It's much better to finish a ghosting session and say, you know what, I could have done more, than to finish it and be thinking that you're never going to do that activity again. You always want to feel a little bit more next time, so be careful. Pre-tip number three, set a total training time, a ghost time, and a rest time before you start. It's always good to know exactly what you're doing. So for example, I'm going to set a 20-minute time. I'm going to do 30 minutes movement, 30 seconds rest. Now that gives me 10 minutes of movement. Now you might say, but Philip, 10 minutes is not really very much. But ghosting is actually quite tiring when you're not playing a ball. When you're focused purely on the movement, it does seem a lot harder. And finally, pre-tip number four, decide what type of ghosting that you're going to work on. Will it be for fitness? Will it be for footwork? Because if it's for fitness, then you need to do the fast movements early on in the training session, after you are hot, of course, and then you can extend the time. If it's for footwork, you're not really worried about how fast you do it. You're worried about, is the footwork quiet? Is the footwork efficient? Just like dancing, good movement around the court uses precise steps. Tip number one, always start every ghost movement session with an imaginary serve or an imaginary return of serve, because that's how every single rally starts. Now you could argue, but Philip, I start on the tee and that's where I'll be. Not for return of service, you won't. It's also good practice to get into the movement of serving and getting to the tee. The same for return of serve. Start where you would normally, pretend to volley the return, straight there. If you want to, you can even use a warmish red dot that you can actually practice the serve with. And off you go. Just be careful you don't fall over it. But if you've done a good serve, the ball will stay in the back anyway. Rules clarification. When you serve and the moment of impact, you must have one foot completely in the box. It cannot be touching the line. The other foot can be absolutely anywhere you want it to be. In addition, it must be touching. You cannot be here when you serve. Your foot must be completely in the box. It must not be touching the line. Tip number three, play an actual rally in your mind. Watch where you imagine the ball to be. Play the post and cover. Move a bit further forward. Remember, the tee is not this. It's anywhere from here to here, and it depends on where your opponent has hit the ball. Going back to the same place all the time is not realistic. In addition, when you, for example, play an imaginary post, look at the front and imagine your opponent there and try to guess. Maybe practice going in different ways. And conversely, imagine that they play a post. When you get up here, instead of just moving like this and coming back, no. What would you do in a real match? You'd maybe make it look like a straight drive, but then you flick it cross court, or you post it. Use these type of movements to practice your deception, to practice anticipation. Tip number 3, forget the star pattern. Don't think in back corner left side, left front, front right, front side, front back. No, you move in so many more different positions. When you move to the front, move here, and then come back, and then maybe move here. Move in all of the positions that you would in a real match. Maybe even practice playing the ball from the middle of the court. But if you only do the star patterns, up to the front, back, running backwards, turn around, side steps, boom, you're not recreating real movement on a squash court. Yes, sometimes you do that movement, but in a real match, you're probably in 20 different places. Tip number 5, vary the height that you play the ball at. You don't always play the ball from your knee height. Play different shots at different heights, especially in the back. Oh, have to get back for that back corner. Oh, he's hit it short. Get down low. Play that lob into the back corner. Oh, it's a volley now. Bang. Here he comes again, a volley. Oh, yes. Straight winner. Don't just play one height. Swing at different heights. Tip number 5, use post-it notes on the walls, or preferably masking tape. But make sure it's masking tape, not other kind of tape. You don't want to damage the paint on the walls. And what you do is you put it on there so that you've got like a little, I'm going to call it like a lip, okay? And if you put a very small one, then that makes it harder. Your job is to come along and hit. Ooh, this one's hard. Wow, crikey. Because in a real match, the ball is close to the wall. Your ghosting should represent that. It should replicate that. Now, as you can see, most of my post-its have fallen off. This wall is not really the best wall to do it. But what you could do is you could put them on the wall and make it a game to see if you can knock them off. See, I didn't even hit that one and it fell off. Yes! Back up here. Of course, do it both sides. Back up here. Nah, I missed it. But you get the idea. It practices getting really close to the wall, which is what you're going to have to do in real matches. Tip number 6, perform one solo drill, say for 1 minute. Wow, not very good at that. And then go into a rally for 30 seconds. Play your 30 seconds. Ooh, gotcha. And then go into another solo drill. Obviously, too good there. Obviously, you should plan that beforehand, but your ghosting sessions don't just have to be movement. They can be hitting sessions as well. So plan those sessions very carefully. Use both leading legs. So when you come up to the front, yes, I'm a traditionalist and I believe that the left foot on the right side with a right-handed player is the best one. But with modern rackets, you can still hit great shots off what would be considered the wrong foot. I find it much harder on the backhand, but that's because when I move forward and I bring my racket back, it turns my hips, so it's much easier for me to get my correct leg in front. But whatever you do, even if it's for the side, practice using both legs, because probably that's what's going to happen in a real situation. The next tip is related to playing different shots. Now, I'm only showing the front left corner, and this is definitely connected to the idea of playing a rally in your mind. But if you're not really into that kind of idea, which by the way is called active visualization, what you really want to do is when you get up the front here, instead of just simply hitting hard straight drives, for example, play a triple boast, play a cross-court lob, making your racket just touch the floor. Even if you've got some tape down, just make it touch the floor. But whatever you do, don't just do the same swing every single time. Get to the front, practice your deception. I'm going to hold, boom, cross-court. Well, I hope it was cross-court, but my point is, don't just swing at the ball, actually pretend to play different shots, even if you don't have an imaginary rally going in your head. The more you put into something, the more you get out. If you simply move around the court in a star pattern without doing any thinking, you're not going to be effectively improving your court craft. Yes, it takes a few moments to put some of the post-it notes or the sticky tape on the walls, but that can be the difference between an ordinary training session and a great training session. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubts or questions, let me know in the comments. And as always, do something every single day to improve your squash. Come on, off for some ghosting.